Hi, it's Robin here at Toadstool Tarot, and welcome back. I have today the Dreamkeepers Tarot from Liz Huston. Now, I saw a walkthrough of this on Saturday, ordered it right away, and was surprised that it showed up 3 days later on Tuesday in the mail from California to New York. So, very quick service from Liz Huston. It's a 78 card tarot deck with surrealist images. Little tuck box, nice tuck box. I'm not big on tuck boxes, but it's an attractive one. There's a little card inside with a thank you and signature from the creator. Don't believe these are numbered. Oh, she also included a beautiful thank you card, postcard, with an image of her artwork. It says, "In Search of Destiny." These images look very, they're surrealist, but sort of Victorian era surrealism, which is very indicative of a lot of artwork that inspired the early surrealists of the 20s and 30s. A lot of them actually used Victorian era images in collages and source material for paintings and such. So I find that really very much in keeping. It doesn't have a little white book, but it does come with this little pamphlet, little accordion pamphlet. It's the briefest of definitions for each card. It says the key to Liz Huston's Dreamkeepers Tarot. And so you've got suit of wands, cups, swords, pentacles, major arcana, and for example, the major arcana 0, the Fool, says the playful spirit in search of experience. So that's about as brief a definition as you might get for the Fool. But the backs of the cards, oh, by the way, the cards are linen stock. And do I have a... just for card size here. These are tarot card size, exactly. Your average tarot card. They're linen stock. The back designs, not bad. Not my favorite, but not bad. Has a nice sort of wallpaper effect. It's pretty bold, pretty dark. Not as much subtlety on the back as there is in some of the cards. You've got a little pair of silhouetted faces here, female faces, which are nice. I'm intrigued by the negative space created here. I don't think it was intentional. It looks sort of like a top, spinning top or something, possibly. Or, you know, you read your own image into that. So let's have a look at the cards here. Oh, I also want to say this is sort of female-centric deck. There are a few males, mostly just the kings, and I think maybe an emperor, I'm not sure. And the thing I like about it is, as indicative of the Victorian era where women didn't really have power, this deck gives them power as possibly imagined in their dreams, in their dream world, how they might exercise power in the Victorian era, which I like. As I said, the images are surreal. The labeling's nice, unobtrusive, small, and a little gray band on the bottom. The font's not offensive or anything. The coloring is nice. They look kind of like, now I don't know if these are, somebody mentioned that these were paintings. I'm not sure. They look more like collage photographs or possibly computer manipulated photograph collages, but it's really unclear. They're so well done. They don't look at all like hand cut out and glued collage work. So there's a lot of subtlety here. Instead of the magician, you have the creatrix, which is interesting. You have enough light here. The High Priestess. The Empress. And she may very well have had contemporary models pose for these, but I'll tell you, the women in them look very much like women of that era of the late 1800s. Here's the Emperor. I'm not that big on the male depictions in the cards, but I don't think that's the focus of the deck. It seems to be more about female empowerment. We've got a Hierophant here who's a woman, and this woman has 3 faces, which is interesting. The Lovers. There's 3 little figures inside her dress, and his shirt is sort of a house of cards. Chariot. Strength. She seems to be consumed by a coiled serpent being birthed from an egg. Very strong surrealist imagery, and actually we hear a lot about the male artists from the surrealist period. I'm much more intrigued by the women artists of that era, of which we don't hear too much about. Mostly you hear about people like Remedios Varo or Frida Kahlo, but people like Leonora Carrington, Dorothea Tanning, Valentine Hugo, Toyin. I'm trying to think of the woman who did the fur-coated teacup. Merritt Oppenheim. Their voices aren't heard as much of and really intrigue me. The Fates. So instead of the Wheel of Fortune, we have the Fates. Justice. Hanged Woman, Death. And I recently bought the Lonely Dreamer Tarot, which is also on linen stock and features the work of Odilon Redon. And I think this actually would make a really nice companion deck for that one in readings. The time frame is very similar. Redon was a man of the late 1800s, and while Liz Huston is a contemporary artist, her subject matter looks like it could have been created in the late 1800s. The Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun. I'm not really sure if the camera is picking up all these details. They are beautifully subtle and very soft, very wispy, very dreamlike. I know this camera is better than my previous one, and I don't have the best light in my apartment, but this does fairly well in low light. So I'm thinking if you're watching this on a laptop, push it up to full screen mode, and I hope you can see the details. There's a lot of fine line work in here. This one looks like there's sort of a web-like, almost star pattern in the background. She's standing on the world. She bridges the world, the earth and the moon, and she's got arms in space. There's a sun or star on her chest. This one's very different. Now we're into the wands. Ace of Wands, depicted through a keyhole. Very interesting. Stirring a wand in a cauldron. I'm very curious to see how these cards will work for me. I should probably do an introductory reading with it to see, to ask it, you know, to speak about itself. I know a lot of people do that when they get a new deck. Sort of introduce yourself to me. What do you have to say? What do I need to know in order to work with you? Some of this also reminds me a little bit of the surreal quality of the Nicoletta Ciccioli deck, although hers is more contemporary and entirely childlike, toy-like stuff. But there's, you know, part animal people in there and different creatures, and it's also very dreamlike. This deck has, I would say, a predominantly bluish color. Blues and, well, no, it's a blue, gray, brown, very moody, dreamlike colors. I think probably a lot of old vintage photographs that these might have been based on were black and white or sepia tone and hand colored. So they were predominantly that kind of middle range color and then just had washes done over them. Now, I don't know if that's the way Liz worked, but I know a lot of vintage photographs I've seen at flea markets and such. The photo processing people would hand color them with dyes and inks to just add little spot touches of color, because it was before color photography. Now, also in this deck, they have the kings before the queens, although, you know, when you do a spread or shuffle and spread, you're not going to get that. But I think it's intriguing that Liz designated the queens at the top of the chain of importance. These are very soft, moody, dreamy images. I think that's one of the reasons why I thought this would work well with The Lonely Dreamer, because both decks feature what I think of as moody or melancholy images, which is maybe why they appeal to me so much. I tend to be drawn towards beautiful decks and decks that have a very thoughtful, sort of sobering or seriously thoughtful feel to them, something that one can contemplate and get lost in. These are really lovely art cards. Look at that pairing of the Queen and King. I'd say even if you got this deck and didn't want to use it as a tarot deck, even cutting the labels off, rounding the corners, and keeping it as a deck of beautiful art cards would be a welcome addition to anybody's art collectibles. Or you could make it an oracle deck, I guess, but it is within a tarot system. I think tarot has a history of being part of a world of mysticism, and this deck is very much in keeping with that too. It has a mystique to it, a certain intriguing, mysterious quality about it. This one looks like a statue, and actually the face in this reminds me of a Magritte painting that I've seen. So I'm not as fond of that card. I actually like these sort of almost ghostly, pale, delicate Victorian images of actual women, even if they're surreal and strangely supernatural. Pentacles. Interesting. See this more as Justice or the Two of Pentacles. But that's interesting. This is a brighter card than most. But so many of them seem like they're in a haze or in darkness. In the woods somewhere, or the room of a haunted mansion. I'm almost surprised she didn't exclude men from the deck altogether, and I wonder how it would have worked if it were entirely women. But, you know, men predominated during that era, and so I guess she sort of needed it. This does have a very European, British feel to it, I think. I'm not sure what Liz's background is. I'm assuming, since she's from California, that she's born and bred there, but this has a non-American feel to me. All in all, a really pretty deck. Shuffles nicely. So, deck, speak for yourself. What have you got to say to me? I've probably not shuffled it enough, but let's draw a card and see. What about that one? Judgment. Oh, and I'm getting a phone call. So I'm going to go. I'll let you make your own judgments about this deck. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.